Hi, everybody. I want to give people time to log in and watch them come on in. Come on in. It's noon. It's lunchtime. Hope you guys get a chance to watch this video live. Hello. I hope I'm saying you guys' name right. Hi, Joyce. Hi, Bagrath. So I wanted to do kind of a mentor moment segment, and I thought that I could bring my experience as a civil engineer, leading an award-winning firm, and just talk about what that's like, what got me into entrepreneurship, what steps that I took in order to become an engineer, and the project experience that I gained over time where I felt confident to start an engineering firm. So I'm born and raised in Chicago. I'm from Chicago. I am one of the first and only engineering graduate from my family. And I attended the Illinois Institute of Technology, graduated with the engineering degree, a bachelor's of science degree in civil engineering. But I kind of want to go back a bit and tell you about my personal story. My personal story is I grew up from very humble beginnings. I experienced chronic homelessness in my childhood, and prior to that, we lived in Chicago housing projects. You know, kind of like when you see people, when they watch Good Times, they see Thelma and JJ and Florida Evans and so forth, talking about, their, showcasing their stories and their family. It's like, well, I kind of had the same experience too. I had a loving mother, but we just didn't have the finances in order to be, to get me into the good schools, transportation. But what I did do was grow up in a very fun museum of science and industry. My mother made sure that I got all the fun and love and joy that she could get me as a kid. And I spent a lot of time in Chicago's Museum of Science and Industry. And when I did that, it sparked a curiosity, which is a huge thing to have when you're an engineer. When you're considering an engineering field, you got to have several traits. And one of them is to be curious. You always got to be looking at like how things work, how things function, what decisions you make that may affect something else. So I just had like a natural curiosity, like for science and technology and like chemistry and learning about like chemical bonds. And it was just kind of fun. I really liked that aspect of the museum and also that aspect of science. But it was through some very trying family times where, I had to be independent. So not only was I curious, I was also independent because our financial situation required that I had to be a bit more independent. I lived in many homeless shelters in the city, and I was, fortunate to have some very strong nuns who, oversaw the shelters that we lived in, and I kind of learned some strength from them, like just the toughness. I mean, when you're dealing with a lot of people, over 20, 30 people at one time, and then, you're sleeping in a big bedroom with about 20, 30 people in it, you kind of get to learn how to deal with people. So out of being curious and learning how to deal with people, and then learning that whole independentness, and then also having to think on my feet. every time we had a family financial hardship, there's always things to think about on your feet. Whenever our electricity or our gas got disconnected because my mom didn't have enough funds to pay the utilities, then I had to, we had to figure out how to refrigerate our food overnight. And most of the times I ended up putting our food on the windowsill, right outside of our window, just to kind of keep the cool air temperature, to keep the meat and the eggs and the butter and the bread and all that stuff chilled overnight. And we didn't get poisoned, thank goodness. We didn't get food poisoning or anything like that, but definitely we experienced that. So learning how to be independent, I had a curiosity streak, had to always think on my feet. I dealt with large volumes of people at a time because, when you're living in a homeless shelter, my bedroom always had about 60 to 75 people in it. So imagine your bedroom always having 60 to 70 people in it. You kind of get used to dealing with people. So fast forward to graduating and starting my career in college, I chose civil engineering because I wanted to make positive effects on communities too. So I worked at 2 construction companies before working at Chicago Department of Transportation, where I was an assistant project manager. And if you've been to the Windy City, if you've been to Chicago, chances are you've traversed or you traveled over many of the roadway projects that I've completed. Some were at the University of Illinois at Chicago on Halsted Street from Cermak Road to Fulton. And I did a lot of parks where I had unique war memorials where we had to, we had a lot of war memorials where I had to drill caissons and document the materials that came on site, and, ensuring that everything was designed and it fit proper to standards. And then after 6 years of that, I decided to go to work at the wonderful O'Hare Airport as a field engineer for runway 10 left. So if I fast forward to give you a short brief, I had the fortunate opportunity to be one of the few women that worked on an actual runway at O'Hare. Prior to the runway being constructed, there was geotechnical engineering that had to be done. There was clearing and grubbing. There was compaction. There was underground utilities being constructed. But above all of that, there was erosion and sediment control. And I was in charge of that as well, for 406 acres of land. So that was a unique experience that I brought. And at that point, I learned that I passed my professional engineering exam. And when I tell you, when you pass that exam, first of all, you have to, in the United States, we have to go to the board twice. The first time is, the first 4 years that you, the first 4 years you have to take what we call engineer in training exam. But by the time I got to O'Hare Airport, and I was this rock star, what I like to call a rock star runway inspector, erosion sediment control inspector, that I learned I passed my professional engineering exam, and that was in 2006. And when I got my exam, when I passed, first of all, I failed that test 3-4 times. I'm be honest with you. Engineering, taking an engineering exam, it just takes the soul out of your body, but it comes back. You pass the exam. And right at that point, that's when I knew I want to start my own firm. I knew I was ready. I was ready to put my mark onto the world. I brought all my experiences growing up as a kid. I brought all of my curiosity from the Museum of Science and Industry. I brought all of the think quick on my feet and making decisions quickly. I brought the cause and effect thought process. If I do this, if I decide to design it this way, then this will happen, So I'm a rock star. I was like, yay, I passed, but I knew that I would say and in 1999, when I graduated from college, let's bring it back to, back to college when I graduated. When I graduated, there was no big emphasis on diversity in STEM. I kind of missed that whole boat, whereas, make sure that, we add women of color. Let's make sure we add African-American women. As a Black woman, I will tell you, I had a name that didn't pass resume snuff. My name is Mae C. The Department of Transportations of the world, they weren't hiring like the Mae Cherries, the Shaniquas. Let's just be real. And I had a name that just it wasn't Chris. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't Paul or Peter. It was Mae Cherry Whiteside. I was the girl with the funny name. Kind of how like Barack Obama was like he had that name and he had to keep explaining his name over and over and over. Well, I had to keep explaining Mae Cherry over and over and over again until I just shortened out the cherry and just said Mae Whiteside. Everybody got it from here, from this station in life to this station in life. Everyone understood May, like the month of May, and Whiteside. And once I got people used to hearing Mae Whiteside over and over again, then it got easier with my name. And I didn't have to keep explaining, what my name meant and what it was about and who named me. But not to jump all over the place, but again, it was curiosity. It was the willingness to take my career in my own hands. Not having those STEM programs that said, bring women of color. Let's take this Black civil engineering girl seriously. I didn't have all that. I had to create that for myself. I had to create and brand me in order to be accepted amongst my peers. And about college life, there were only 3 Black girls that took civil engineering at Illinois Institute of Technology. It was 3 Black girls. It was myself, Carmen, and Robin. We were the only 3 that took the class together. The majority of my classmates were from other countries, from India, which is why I love my India guys and girls. I took classes with people from Turkey, Italy, Germany, China. That was those were the majority of the classmates that I had going through college. And it just wasn't a lot of love for Black girls in civil engineering. It just wasn't, back in 99, it just wasn't. I was excited though. I didn't mind it. People have their ideas or thoughts, but just because I'm a Black girl from the projects doesn't mean that I'm not interested in engineering. In fact, the term engineering was a term I hadn't even heard of until I was 21 years old. Well, I'll go back to that because that's interesting. So back to getting my professional engineering license and deciding that I wanted to do and join the type of projects that I liked. I had never worked on a bridge project. You would think a civil engineer would have had bridge experience. Not all of us go into bridge design or bridge construction or bridge or anything like that, or any structural, whether it's high rises or foundations or anything like that. I didn't really embrace that. I embraced more the construction engineering and management, the whole cost schedule, the whole pulling a schedule together and managing different parts of the project when the materials will arrive, all the pre-construction work, all the constructability reviews, all of all of the measurement and quantities that contractors and I would agree to. It was those things that I really liked. All of the experiences that I had as a runway, as an aviation inspector. I will not say runway because I did so many things in and including the runway. But as an aviation inspector, I brought those experiences. Like, I'd never driven on top of berms that were. I mean, Chicago is if you. I'm not going to trip on my city, but if you've been to Chicago, Chicago is flat. I mean, how flat can I get? Chicago is business card flat. Get- Wait, and even that's not flat. Wait, that's not a good card. But you know, Chicago is very, very flat. So the fact that I'm in this F-150 and I'm driving up on top of these berms and I got this clear shot of downtown from O'Hare Airport, that was pretty good. So when I got my PE, I was excited. I knew I wanted to start a company, and I was just like, I am going to work on all the projects I've ever wanted to work on. And so that meant I had to be social. I drew upon all the experiences living in those homeless shelters. I'm not trying to say this where you go get it because don't nobody want to be home, but but I'm like, I drew upon all the experiences having lived in a homeless shelter to deal with people, to deal with networking. And I would tell you the most humbling experience is to ask somebody for something, ask for work, ask for a project, ask. And I had to learn how to humble myself in order to get the work that I was looking to win. I had to ask people I've never had to ask before, like, hey, sir, I like to add value to your engineering consulting team pursuing project XYZ because I bring this experience. You know how humbling it is to ask somebody for $1? You know how humble you have to be, where you need to be in order to ask somebody. And I did that. I worked out. I ate right. I got my business cards done. I did my logo. I put everything how to reach me, my email, my website, which was kind of at the time. I made sure that I got a LinkedIn profile that you could trust, pictures that you could trust. I made sure that I got on the phone and I called everybody. You talk about, I was using this, I burnt out my cell phone, calling and hello, my name is Mae Whiteside, and I'm the owner of CKL Engineers, and I am looking to speak with your project manager for the construction RFQ that's out for streets and local highways. That was me. Like, this is live. Like, I was humping through business cards and meeting different people and, just getting my word out and getting my brand out. And then I was fortunate to have some good entrepreneur friends too. So I got references on books like How to Win Friends and Influence People. Shout out to Kevin. Highly Effective People. What Are the Habits? My favorite book I was reading recently, How Remarkable Women Lead. I read these books and I just made sure I stayed curious. That was the big thing, is making sure that I stayed curious enough that I was able to offer something to like my new employees and try to help mentor them and try to build like a team spirit. And you just start where you are. You don't have to have all these degrees. I mean, people will go and have all these degrees in order to start a business. No, you don't. You don't have to have all those degrees. You just got to start with yourself, your strength, and why you want to go into business. And what is it that you have that somebody wants to buy from you? Why would somebody want to buy from you? Ask yourself. You have to ask yourself these questions. Why? What do you have that somebody wants to buy? And I really had to do some market research. And it's okay. Spend some time, an hour a day or so, just to do some market research and find out what it is that the market is looking for, and and what skill sets do you have to fill that need, and then you will soar from there. I just wanted to open this line of communication so that there may be people out there, entrepreneurs, people that are thinking about going to entrepreneurship, thinking about using your personal skill sets in order to fulfill that dream of yours. I wanted to be a kick butt civil engineer that built lot of local transportation projects, because I know, having grown up in a impoverished area right next to a university, that I knew that those kinds of projects sparked economic. My lighting is getting dark. Um, but I wanted to work on projects that sparked local economic economy, local economies. I knew that transportation projects unlocked potentials of communities, and I wanted to be a part of that renaissance. I mean, I'm not an activist in a way, but I knew that through my work, I could be one. Choosing projects that unlocked economic potential for communities of blight, or communities that are not in blight. It just wanted the extra economic benefit of having this new, nice corridor that included vehicular traffic, with bike traffic, with people with disabilities, everybody to be able to use a roadway so they could shop and work and attend things. You might have a kid that needs to go to a ballet class, or, I want to be a part of those projects that unlock that potential for your community to thrive. And so that was the basis of me starting CKL Engineers. I guess I had to go all the way around the world to find that one thing about myself that I knew that as a civil engineer that I could give back to the world, that has given so much back to me. So I just wanted to connect with everybody and just, say, don't give up. Entrepreneurship can be dark. It can be scary. It could be lonely. Only you have that vision of what you want for you. Only you have that. And no one else can see that vision. But people come to you to help you carry that out. Don't turn down that help. And next week, I'm going to be bringing you on site to some live construction projects that you will love to see and hear how things work. Like, how do you get water into your house? Like, what does water main construction look like? That's next week. What does roadway construction look like? How thick is that pavement? When you excavate, what does it look like down underneath the street? Like, what does that look like? I'm going to open all that up to you. Of course, with the client saying you can do that, but I want to open all that world up to you that you never saw. Like, there are projects that you wouldn't believe the kinds of things that we do to make it work. And it will satisfy a curiosity about civil engineering for yourself, and entrepreneurship, and the ability to be curious, and ability to be independent, and an ability to make those decisions that everyone on the project will depend on me to make. You'll see me in full action, making those decisions, going into trenches, measuring out water main, sewer main. My big focus outside of just generally construction engineering and management is underground sewer and water work. We're really good in that work. So you'll get to see me jump into that work. The pearls will be gone. The blouse will be gone. It's going to be army fatigues. No, I'm just kidding. But, I want to make sure that, I want you to see me work. I want you to see transportation projects. I want you to see how water main construction gets done, how sewer gets done, how roadway projects get completed, how sidewalk, curb, and gutter is placed, how the contractors need to work, how I need to work with the contractors in order for the project to proceed smoothly, how I view construction schedules, how I figure out when the material should be arrived so that we don't delay the project, because the owner is looking for this work to be completed. The residents in the community is also waiting for this project to be completed. Everybody is looking for a resolution to your project. And I want to show you how I go through all of that stuff, and show you that just because you yourself isn't a civil engineer, it's just common sense, curiosity, independent thinking, but more importantly, you have to always look and see what's next. What's the next project for me beyond the one you're seeing me work on? And you'll see me go through that phase too, like networking and communicating with others to buy my work or buy my services. And then you'll see me in turn give that back. And then also, I want to admit I'm a mom of a teenager. So I have like a little teenager that I'm a mom of a teenager, a high school kid. So you'll see like the whole raising my kid to working on a project to making those calls in the field to you actually seeing what construction looks like on a transportation project. That's going to be the fun part that you'll see. You'll see me engaged in all of that stuff. So I'm glad I'm able to share some of their reading material. Hi, Andre. Hey, Lisa. Hey, Jennifer, Joe, Joyce, and all those that will be watching this video later. But you'll get a chance to see like exactly a day in the life of a civil engineer CEO. So I hope to see you guys later. Unless you have any comments or questions for me. I don't mind hanging on and seeing. So, all right. I guess I will see you guys next Monday.